Welcome to 0 Degrees, 0 Minutes, an extreme Onechunk Ironman journey, completing every skill challenge, every collection log item, and so much more as I explore the old school RuneScape map, one chunk at a time. Okay, here we go. With this one right here, if I can actually hit it, I'm gonna bang out quite a few things all at once. There's the 70 strength, and there's the 70 attack, and 70 defense, 87 combat, just a string of spam for the clan chat. I'm progressing along on my nature runes. Mystery box gave me a steel plate body. I figured these were pretty much worthless for me, but I always take them hoping for the baguette. And this time I actually got a gear upgrade, so yeah, I'm gonna be kitted out in a little bit of style now. There it is. The last of my nature runes, so I can finish that superheat grind I've got. Oh, feels good to be done. And this should be my last inventory of bronze I have to superheat in order to get to 15 smithing. And one more. 15 smithing. Iron bar superheated. Chunk task complete. Alright, it's time for the chunk picker. Before I move on, I'm going to manually add, because I got a steel plate body from a mystery box. I'm going to add that to my chunk. And then I have an uncut diamond from Hill Giants. So whenever I get a crafting grind, I'll have to process up to the uncut diamond. And then I'll recalculate tasks, which should add the steel plate body to a best in slot task, which is complete because I already put that on. I obtained the steel spear and the iron mace. I got the bronze pickaxe, which led to the mining grind. I got the iron axe. I started Tree Gnome Village as far as I could. I mined my copper ore and brewed a jug of wine. And I finally just finished the superheat, an iron bar, after grinding several hundred nature runes with the 1 in 64 drop rate, which means chunk task is complete across the board. So it's time to pick chunk and see what I wind up with. It could be bad. It could be so bad. It's bad. It's so bad. All right, chunk tasks. I have to hit 67 agility for the Yanil dungeon shortcut. I have to make a 85 cooking for a part wild pie. I also am now going to have knife, so there's my fletching grind. I'm going to have to get 90 mining for a size 9 shooting star. So that's going to be fun. I need to, of course, hit the 99 magic for a skill cape. I need to get 50 range to wield the hunter's crossbow from the hunter shop. I have to smelt a gold bar with superheat. So I'm back to grinding out nature runes. I need to get 82 thieving for the Arty Diary Elite task. Oh boy. I'm going to now be able to get iron plate legs as an upgrade. And because it's a best in slot, I have to trim the magic cape. So I'm gonna have to get a second 99 this chunk besides magic. It'll probably be my melee skills because my only source of rune drops, thanks to the hand in the sand requirement for the rune shop, means I have to get all of my runes via drops. Full Mystic, of course. I'm going to have an iron chain body that I'll be able to get for best in slot, an iron square shield for a best in slot, iron knife for a best in slot range weapon, willow shortbow, mithril arrow, I'll be able to get a staff, which means I won't be manually casting magic at least. So there's that. Iron 2H, Iron Warhammer, Watchtower up to step 3. I wish I could do the whole thing. And Arty Diary, easy, hard, and elite. What is the elite task? Oh, that's the Yanil Agility Dungeon one for 82 thieving. So there's that. And Western Provinces hard is... What is this one? Oh, 75 thieving to pickpocket a gnome. Yeah, Death Chunk rolled. We'll see how long this all takes. I'm probably gonna have to jump around between tasks. Oh man, so bad. I was checking in with Source and found out that farming tasks don't pop up unless you have a spade, but I've got raking as a primary method, so I'm going to go ahead and require myself to plant some wild blood hops that are dropped from ogres, so I'll add a 28 farming grind to the rest of this nightmare. Alright, time to unlock the new chunk and go explore it. Have access to a cooking shop here, which is the reason I have the cooking tasks. It's a pie dish on top of other things. I have access to a hops patch that I'm gonna have to rake a lot. I have some agility training spots on some shortcuts for my agility grind. Of course, I have the hunter shop, which will have a couple tasks in it. The Mages Guild is going to be where I spend a majority of the chunk once I can get in, because I require 66 magic to get in, and I currently have 56, so 10 levels to go. Down here, I have access to the Yanil Agility Dungeon, which is going to require that big thieving and agility requirement. I have to smith a bunch of best-in-slot gear from iron that I'll have to superheat, which means I'm going to have to kill guards for enough iron to get all those best in slots. North of the chunk, I'm going to be able to start Watchtower quest, I believe. I have no access to Nightmare Zone because I have no bosses killed. I do have an imp, but because I already have a larger cooking requirement, that means no pita bread for me. I can do a bunch of cooking on the cows. And then, of course, the other entrance to the agility dungeon. So, yeah, this is going to be quite the chore. I do have access to the gnome village over here better now, so I don't have to run all the way around every time. That's also helpful. I'm going to go figure out what to do next and address the different grinds as I reach them. Here goes nothing. I've decided that the first thing I'm gonna do while I work towards the other grinds, or figuring out how I'm gonna tackle them, is just do some fletching. I have a little bit of hands-on while I get past the regular logs and get to where I can just cut some oaks. Feels like a good way to be able to sit down and do some math and some figuring out kind of how long I'm going to be in this chunk. I know it's going to be a long time, but it's daunting. I'll say that, and I need something to do while I figure that all out. With needing to do a bunch of raking, I'm gonna make this my home while I do my oak logs, because I can chop them and then come over here and do some raking as the weeds grow back to get that grind started while I work on the fletching one. Seems like a good way to multitask my chunk tasks. I've been continuing on the fletching grind. I moved over here by the fruit tree patch so I could continue raking when I did willows. There's 42. And now I can go ahead and make 1 Willow Shield. And this is another task complete. Wielding it is another task complete. So that's 2 tasks down for the death chunk at least. So I've just made it through enough of my agility grind that I can now move on to the trellis here. But before I do that, I'm gonna go do a little bit of raking, because now that I won't be right here to rake every time it grows, it's gonna slow that bit down a little bit. But here's some raking content. Yeah, with that, I'm gonna go get on that agility grind. I have a lot more to go and haven't done the math yet to see how long it's gonna take, but here we go. Well, here's my math for the trellis. From my current level, I need to do the trellis agility shortcut 17,676 times in order to reach the agility goal for my chunk. That is a whole lot of repeated agility. This climb should officially put me 60 agility, which is halfway to what I need at the moment, considering I need 67 and RuneScape leveling is on a curve, so every 7 levels you have to double your XP. So that's another 273,000 agility XP to go here. It's going. I'm making progress. I figure at this point it's about time that I address the lamps that have slowly been building in my inventory over a while. I don't think I actually have that many clips, but as you can see, I've been doing a lot of random events that give lamps. The magic skill cape, or 99 magic, is the most daunting grind I have in Yanil as an extreme Onechunk Ironman. This comes down to a couple factors, one of them being the bot prevention for the rune shop requires the hand in the sand quest, which I cannot do with my current chunk access. So I can do some math and make a few assumptions when doing that math to give myself an approximate grind time to complete the magic skill cape. The first assumption I want to make is that my combat stats will never change throughout the entire grind. As I can currently max hit to one-shot a wizard, I don't think that's too big a thing to consider, and I can use an OSRS DPS calculator to get an average kill time of 7 seconds per wizard. When you factor in the wizard respawn time, it should be about 6 wizard kills every minute, or around 360 kills an hour. The other assumption I want to make is that I wind up in the worst case scenario, with all of my spells splashing, so no bonus XP for damage on combat spells. When I take those couple considerations in mind, I can then look at the wizard's drop table for runes, which includes mind, chaos, body, nature, law, and blood runes. Those catalytic runes will determine which spells I can cast on this grind. My then best option is to use Windstrike on Salaran the Twisted. As with the magic rebalance, it should be incredibly rune efficient, as the damage now will scale up, and because of the way magic already scaled up when using the appropriate spells on Salaran the Twisted, I should be able to get really good rates out of my mind and wind runes, to the point where it's not efficient to actually use any of my other elemental runes. I can then use my Chaos runes to cast Crumble Undead on skeletons. The body runes are surprisingly solid magic XP when you use them to cast Curse. That leaves Laws for telekinetic grab and nature runes that I will use on Superheat until my smithing goal is achieved, and then I will use them on High Alchemy. Averaging out the wizard drop runes at these rates, I can then multiply the drop rates by the XP per spell cast, add them together to get an approximate amount of XP gained per kill, which is a pitiful 10 XP per kill. The key in the grind is that they are very fast to kill. Going back to that 360 kills an hour is how I get the approximate time it will take me to gather the runes to get from my 66 magic and the 12,538,177 XP that I will need as of entering the Magic Guild to get that 99 magic and buy the skill cape. That will be over 1 million wizards to kill. It's actually 1,253,818 wizards. This will take me approximately 3,483 hours to kill if my rates assumed in the math are accurate. And that's just to gather the runes and not use them to achieve the 99 magic to get that skill cape. That is the reason why I've been stockpiling lamps, and they will all now be going onto magic. As when we go back to that 10 XP rate per kill the wizards will give me for magic, every single one of these lamps at each level as I go up will save me more and more wizards that I don't have to kill. So here I am at the super anti-poison spawn. There is a distinct reason for that, and that comes down to the fact that there is a poisonous spider that is in the Yanil Agility Dungeon that I didn't think I would be able to deal with if I got poisoned. However, I was reminded that I had super anti-poisons here, so I'm gathering an inventory. Alright, I was so neck deep in hitting my agility goal, I was just diving at the Trellis because I didn't remember that I had the anti-poisons. I went and grabbed that inventory, so now if I do happen to fail this beam balance, I have anti-poisons if I get poisoned. I don't have much food right now, but this should actually be much faster XP per hour, and I can get my foot pedal, and I'm high enough to the goal at the moment that I'm not gonna fail much, if at all. So that's kind of amazing. Now, the reason I'm actually after the agility is further into this dungeon is the entrance to Salaran the Twisted and the other entrance, which I could also take. However, that other entrance does require the lockpick, and that lockpick requires me to have the agility obtained. Alright, there is the lockpick. So now whenever I get around to doing that thieving grind, I will be able to enter from the closer entrance. And right next to me is the agility obstacle I'm almost to being able to cross. Next time, I'm going to finish the agility grind and head towards the next one. If you're ever curious how long it takes me to do a grind based on my playtime, you can look at the mini map, and right there is the date at all times when I was playing during the clip. Until next time. All music used in the video is from loyaltyfreakmusic.com.